Okay, so thank you for joining us for this month's AC478 Roundtable. We have a lot to cover, and there are a lot of you, so we want to make sure we get to all of your questions and reasons for joining us today. I am Sasha Demian, the Executive Director of the MBCEA. Dan Halmy is with us. He is the chair of our accreditation committee, and his company, Halmy Builders, has been AC478 accredited for over 7 years. And then Jackie Maluda is also with us. She assists in program management for MBCEA, and she's the one that you're going to meet with as you prepare to apply for accreditation. And we are just going to take a few minutes here, first thing, to introduce the AC478 program to those of you who may be brand new to it. So those of you who know what it is, bear with us, but going to just mute anyone who, okay. Okay, so a majority of all metal building systems are supplied by manufacturers who are members of the MBMA. And MBMA mandates that member companies achieve and maintain AC 472. That is an accreditation with an established criteria toward which each firm demonstrates that they have the personnel, organization, experience, knowledge, quality procedures, and commitment to fabricate in accordance with specified procedures.
Until the introduction of AC 478, there was no similar program that established a criteria for assemblers. MBCEA members were looking for a way to differentiate themselves from the bad actors that are poorly trained, unsafe, but often the lowest bid. We all recognized that when structures fail or people get hurt during assembly, the entire industry suffers. This accreditation establishes an industry standard to identify those players doing the right thing that are committed to safety, training, and quality. For the first time in history, manufacturers and directors now have complementary accreditation programs for metal building projects that help ensure the highest quality commercial buildings.
AC 478 assures owners that the erector they have chosen follows a comprehensive quality-driven metal building assembly program that is assessed annually. To achieve AC 478 accreditation, companies must maintain the following: documented safety program and training program, a documented management system, on-site job site assessments, job site specific plans, annual internal audits and management reviews to ensure continuous improvement.
The program brings much needed rigor and discipline to a somewhat chaotic industry. But with all things new, there is some apprehension, and that is why we host these sessions, and we have put together a robust support system in the members only area and consultative support with Jackie. You don't need to be a member of the MBCEA to apply for accreditation, but only members get our support. Dan is going to be our featured speaker today, so I'm going to let him take over and get into the specific topic that we have chosen that we felt would be good to cover. So we're glad that several of you that are already accredited are here as well to join us. This is going to be pertinent information to both groups.
Thanks, Sasha. So yeah, Jackie and I will try to cover the topic of what your expectations should be in your field assessment from IAS and how to deal with cars and concerns that come out of those. So those of you that are already accredited, you've had your field assessment. You probably learned some stuff out of that. Every time you do this, it seems like there's still a learning curve to some of this. And what we really want to do is just talk about some of the things that you should expect and how to deal with some of those things. So, Jackie, do you have anything more you want to say on that before we get started?
No. No, I think as we go along, there'll be plenty of discussion points. So.
Yeah, so I guess the discussion points that I kind of want to start off with is when a field assessment is undertaken. There's some of the basic elements of the assessment is going through specifically what you already went through in your office assessment, and kind of just verifying that you do have some of the training and safety information implemented into your job. One of the things that is different that is not really included at all in your office assessment because it's so site specific is your site specific plan. And we did cover that in another session and pretty in depth. The part that is not so in depth here is how this is going to look like, or what it looks like in your field assessment, and what you should be prepared to show. And in the event that you don't show it and you have a car or a concern, how to deal with that. So I think the first thing that we probably should identify is, if I can share my screen, the expectations under the criteria. Let's see here.
Yeah, and I'm happy to be Vanna and share while you.
Oh, okay, whatever. I just wanted to,
Yeah.
I think I have it open here.
Yep. Good.
Under the definitions, we have in the criteria, the job site specific plan. And like I said, we've dealt with this pretty thoroughly in other roundtables. So I'm not going to go through all of it other than there's a pretty specific set of criteria about what that should look like. And often in the field assessments, it can be not anywhere near that. So what I want to bring people's attention to is how to show that. There's a lot of different things that we do see in assessments, including kind of in nomenclature how they are going to do some temporary bracing or to that effect, but no real narrative. And often it's so tied into how the crews, so specific how the crews work within their company that there leaves a lot to be desired. I could say that way. That I think when we're trying to show the assessor that you have a clear plan along with a narrative that shows how you're going to tackle not only, like if we're looking at this here, the sequence of erection activity. This goes into material delivering, material staging, storage, coordination with other trades. But one of the things I think, and it goes as we look down here further, it talks about requiring temporary bracing and guiding, erecting, bridging terminus points. This becomes the area where a lot of times there's not enough information for an assessor to determine that you've done the effort. So what I think what we're really wanting to talk about here to start with is that building some sort of narrative in your projects of where your steel erection activities start, where the starting with the deliveries and staging, but where that steel is going to fly, where it's going to land, how you're going to brace it, where you're starting from, and how you're ending. Often that is left so unclear that an assessor can't make really heads or tails of what you're doing, especially when that is built in conjunction with what they're seeing. So if an assessor's on the job site and trying to get an understanding of what your temporary bracing plan is, and even though you've noted some things, but the temporary bracing is either no longer there, or the temporary bracing is or is relying on permanent bracing that hasn't been installed yet. But yet erection activities have long passed a point where logically it should have been installed. So having a plan that actually is being in use in your field assessment is important um, for an assessor to be able to determine that your site-specific plan is sufficient. Additionally, there's some OSHA required stuff that goes into this plan, and one of the things that we often also see in assessments that are missing is the OSHA requirement for a notification of commencement for the steel erection activity to start on a job site, that the concrete has sufficient strength to hold up under the erection activity. So that the requirement is, I believe, 75%. This is just a AI overview, but
Yeah, it's 75%.
either was
It is
go ahead.
75%.
Somebody have a question?
It is 75%. It says, yeah.
Yeah. No, but it also is that there must be a written notification that it is to sufficient strength. This is coming from the controlling contractor to the erecting contractor. And this notice of commencement is an often missing part of the activity or the site-specific plan. So this is something that also needs to be brought to attention. Here it says requires a written notification from the controlling contractor to the steel erector to authorize steel erection to begin. This notification must confirm the concrete has cured to an adequate strength and anchor bolts have been approved, among other requirements. This notification is critical for worker safety as it ensures the structure can safely support forces during erection. And that's the basic element of this that,
Dan,
go ahead.
can I interrupt for a second? So when I talk to people around the country, I feel like they fall into two camps. Those that know about this, like Justin was able to quickly say, yes, it is 75%, they know about it. And others, I almost get the impression they have no idea what we're talking about. So I can't imagine that there's regional requirements, but are there, I don't know, maybe there's someone on the call who this is a new thing for them.
It's an OSHA requirement, Jackie. It's in the steel erection
Yeah,
standard.
no, I know, but how, so, I guess my question is, like, does sometimes the GC take care of it? Sometimes why would there be people that aren't aware of it?
That's one of the reasons we started the AC478. There's a lot of stuff like that, and they've never been forced to implement it. It should be in writing. We get that every time. It's usually the general contractor. Unless the erector is the general contractor, they won't be able to verify the concrete. That's signed off by the GC.
Yeah, I guess that's the thing is that it doesn't really matter whether or not the GC is self-erecting or doing their own work. They have a responsibility to put in writing and evaluate the concrete breaks that they have met the 70%, 75% of the design criteria. If it isn't writing, then it didn't happen. Nobody's evaluated that. Often that's the approach that why don't we just show the assessor all the design breaks? And there's quite often those don't even exist. Or if they exist, they're sitting over in somebody else's files that the rector has never really seen. So it's a missing component, Jackie, and I think that's what you're saying. There's maybe two camps, and it's one of the reasons why we're bringing it up here is to make sure that it is clear what the criteria is. OSHA is the notice of commencement is a requirement under OSHA, which is a safety requirement, which is part of the requirements of accreditation. But it's not just accreditation because, as you're aware, if that didn't happen and there was a problem on the job site, and OSHA came in and did their own review of it, they would find the same thing and probably fine a contractor for not having it. So it's a requirement whether or not it's accreditation or not. Go ahead, Art.
I think that this is an example of an area where AC 478 has an effect over the rest of your business. We had to put in a policy because somebody in our office signed off on the strength, and the fellow was qualified to, but he's not an engineer, or so he's not really qualified. But what it did for us was it made us put a policy in to train all new hires not to sign that form, to talk to the engineer of record at the beginning of the job, letting him know that he would need to, and letting all the supers know as part of their policies and procedures that during any concrete pour, we had to get cylinders. So AC 478 is designed for the assembly of metal buildings, but it has far-reaching benefits throughout the organization.
Well, I think what you're pointing to is establishing some standards within your own organization to deal with the criteria, and that's exactly what every person or every company that establishes their own management system needs to understand what those criteria are and how to deal with them. And you've done that. You've developed a system or a policy. You've done the training. You've done the pieces behind it. That's what is being brought to the forefront here as well. Is often it's overlooked until there is an assessment, and if these type of things are brought up and talked about, people become more understanding of the criteria of the OSHA requirements and then how to deal with them. So that's part of the reason why we're talking about them here today, is just showing some of the things that are often brought up in field assessments that people are struggling with, of getting a clear understanding. So, Joe, quick question for you.
Okay.
What do you see on this? As far as from the contractors you are working with, what are you seeing on notice of commencement? So are these coming from engineers? Or are they coming from qualified personnel? I think that's the thing, is that OSHA allows qualified or competent person to make that determination. They don't necessarily say engineer, but what are you seeing from your contractors?
Right. We would see that come directly from the project manager most typically. And whether or not they employed an engineer is beyond the veil of what we see, but it is sent via email. It's included in our job folder for every project, but it's sent via email to the management team of the general contractor, saying, we're going to need to see this before we start putting columns up. So it's typically the project manager.
And you guys adhere to that. You won't start steel erection unless you have that letter, correct?
That is correct.
I can vouch for that.
That's what I think the criteria is asking for, and the OSHA requirements are asking for, is that it will not start. You do not start steel erection without that letter. And waiting for concrete breaks or somebody sitting on somebody's desk somewhere is just not, that's not sufficient information. So this often results in a car, and so that kind of brings us to our next piece of information of how we deal with concerns in cars. I'm going to stop the share.
Yeah. So Dan, I'm going to share, okay? Because
All right.
you don't make things big for everybody to see.
Okay. I'm sorry.
That's okay. I'm assuming this is where you want to go.
You can go in various different places.
Yeah.
What I was going to speak to is more on the report side of things.
Oh, okay.
I don't know if you have a report, a field report.
No, I do not. I have up on the screen the rules that they sign that details the difference between a car and a concern.
Okay, it might say the same thing. Actually, I think it does. I think it says the same thing. So I'll read off of here and not off of the report, because in the report, you will get the same information. It'll tell you the same thing, so you can read it there. and determine how to respond. But whether it's a critical or corrective action request, which is referred to as a CAR, or a concern, either one of them, they require a response within 30 days of the conclusion of the assessment. So once that report lands on the member's desk that is trying to get accreditation, they have 30 days to do this. That can be extended, but it should be talked with the assessor about the reasons why you need some extension. And I haven't seen where that's been denied, if there's any real good reason to do that. So one thing to keep in mind is the assessment is not pass or fail. If you do have something to work on, it does result in one of these as a CAR or a concern. It's fine. It's something you can work on and resolve. What happens if it's a CAR? There is objective evidence that's required to show that the actions were taken and resolved. So if you have a CAR that says your site-specific plan did not include the notice of commencement, you would need to get a notice of commencement to prove that you've resolved that. That's objective evidence that you've taken action and got that notice of commencement resolved. In addition, the response must include root cause analysis to support CAR closures where appropriate. So that means that a company would have to dig into the understanding of why this was missing. And it could just be, just simply saying that we didn't understand the criteria or something. But the more important part is that what has been learned from it and how it's been established within the company, within policy, to make sure that that is a concluded issue. So kind of like what Art was saying, he's made some policy within his company to make sure the right people are checking off on it, and some training or whatever is required. All that should be tried to be exposed to the assessor in writing to close that CAR out. There isn't necessarily, you don't have to follow what Art did, but you have to follow something that says this is what we are going to do, plus here's the objective evidence to show you we've done that. Concerns are a little bit different. They still require a 30-day time frame for submission from the point of the report, but they don't need the objective evidence as a requirement. It's non-mandatory. You could show that, but the concern is intended that if a point of time has elapsed and you can't really go back and get that any longer, it's not possible. There's some understanding to that. It says, hey, this is still a concern. You need to show us that you can, you understand the criteria and you're taking action so this doesn't continue. And so this will be looked at again in future assessments. Concerns and CARs are generally looked at prior to your next assessment to find out what you've dealt with before and if that has been sufficiently resolved and doesn't continue. Sometimes there could be a situation where a follow-up is necessary to determine if that concern or CAR is actually being implemented if it rose to that level. Jackie, is there any input on that?
No. So if there's anyone on the call that has a question or had an experience that, without divulging all your details, wants to talk through, or because I feel like I get calls after the fact where someone's been frustrated because they didn't understand about a CAR or a concern. So I did ask Dan to dig into this, but sometimes it's better with a real live example.
And just so everybody is aware, this is on the field report, always on the bottom of the field report, listed right after the CARs and concerns. What the requirements are in the findings, you will find that there are these instructions, the same that are shown here, on how to deal with them.
Yeah, I know.
I just wanted to say that, listening to it, I understand you guys are finding things like that with new companies, but from kind of a veteran's perspective, it is something that I never even think about. When the system's in place, that's old hat. Like it's not it it sounds just from listening to that like it's a struggle for some people to get that stuff done, but it is really, really I don't think about AC 478 in general until it's time for an assessment and then to get my paperwork together because when the system's in place, it's actually easy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of this stuff comes up with the initial assessment. So some of the examples that I can think of off the top of my head are compliance with the MBI Quality and Craftsmanship Training Series or with OSHA 10. And those your people have to have. And sometimes people get started thinking, well, I'll do that later. And then you're issued a concern, get it done. Yeah. So
Yeah, concern would be um, issue a plan to get it done. A car would be show us objective evidence that they are done. So that's the difference between the two. And in either case, until there's sufficient responses by the judgment of the assessor and the home office of IAS, the any accreditation won't go forward. So if it's initial, you will not be issued your certificate of accreditation until these are resolved. And on reassessment, there are if it drug out for some reason and there wasn't sufficient reason to accept the responses, you could have your accreditation go into suspension. So that's kind of a drastic side of things, but nonetheless, it's the reality that things need to be moved along fairly quickly. And if objective evidence is needed, you want to get started on that right away. So if something like an OSHA 10 requirement was used as a corrective action request, I wouldn't wait 30 days and have your guys try to start taking OSHA 10. You need to start that process quickly so you can show that objective evidence that that training did take place. And I think if you're reading this here under the cars where it does say objective evidence may be in the form of revisions to procedures, which depending on the car, that may be the objective evidence. Additional training. So if it was something like OSHA 10, that would be showing a certificate from OSHA 10. Mentoring or monitoring given to personnel accompanied by appropriate records and or other data. So those are all things that could be shown to resolve that. But again, pretty quick action to be able to get that done in 30 days if there's some bigger issues. Now, I haven't seen where that's been a huge problem, but I sometimes see where people do drag this out a little longer than they should possibly. And time can get away from you pretty easily. So just being prepared, your assessment's coming. When you do see results of the assessment, take action as quickly as possible. And most of the time in the closing, as part of the assessment, all this stuff's going to be reiterated. So before you even get the report, it may take 2 or 3 days for the report to come out. But you already know what actions you need to take because the assessor is going to go over that with you in the closing portion of your assessment. So at that point, that's the best time to actually get started and make the adjustments you need to do. So with that, I think that kind of covered the stuff you wanted me to, Jackie. Is there anything that you want me to talk about more?
no, I think we can open it up to questions.
Sure. So one of the things
And maybe try and stay with the theme of the assessment. So like if anyone has a question about what to expect when you're being assessed or
I do have a question about the
great.
assessment. So my name's Steve Kirkbride, Safety Director for Fleming Construction. I got hired in late January, and I think we got our accreditation in March or April. So we're trying to set up the inspection. And I think I've reached out to his last name starts with an M.
Dave
Uh,
Musselwhite.
David Musselwhite, probably.
yes. And I haven't heard anything back. I'm just trying to figure out what steps I need to take to get the inspection, the annual inspection.
So, most of this should be managed through IAS. You continue to pay your invoice when it becomes due, and they will reach out to you with their assessors they assign
Okay.
to get that assessment underway. So they are watching the dates for you, and they assign assessors and give a time frame for the assessor to reach out for you to you. David Musselwhite is a program manager. If you do have questions about that, he is somebody that can respond to that. However, he runs several programs, not just AC478, and I can't speak to his availability. Yeah, so it's I do know there's been some difficulties with that, but I can tell you that IAS will assign an assessor and get a hold of you and set that up for you. So this is a reassessment for your first reassessment, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I would just suggest continue to pay your invoices and somebody will reach out to you when it's timely. So and start
So,
working that.
Dan, I would add to what you're suggesting. Stephen, do you know if you're registered in the IAS portal?
So Justin Willett, our president, is, and they were trying to get me set up. I don't think I've ever been in the IAS. I've
Yeah,
been on the NBCA website. I've been in the
sure.
MBI, but I
Okay,
haven't.
so that is a good point. So
Yeah.
they're only going to reach out to the people that are on that portal. So if you have to add your name as an assessment contact, there's a contact that can be added on there for the assessment. You will probably have to get with whoever is on there. They probably have the credentials to get in on the portal. But get in there and make the changes, the necessary changes to the portals so you get contacted.
Okay,
That's the only way IAS knows who to contact is
gotcha.
through the portal.
Yeah.
I know that I've got
Sasha,
email track. Oh, sorry.
no, I was just going to say, Sasha, if you could put in the chat that IAS customer service woman's I know she shared her contact with information with us in the past. Because I know it's hard. Like when you have one IAS contact, and like in your case, Justin is obviously still with the company. He's the president, but he might not remember how to get into it because he's the president. He's got other stuff to do. And there's sometimes you have to go to the back door to say we need to put the right person as the contact. But IAS, once you establish who your contact is with them, that person is who's getting the emails, accessing the portal. And so you guys need to keep track of who that person is when you have changeover in your companies.
I
So
am
are
also
you
going
talking?
to, I'm going to suggest, and I put in the chat, and I'll quickly share my screen. IAS personnel attended one of our recent roundtables, and they went through the whole portal, how to use it, what to do, where. So there is a recording of that. I'll show you where that is in a minute when I show you where all the resources are. But I just went to the portal as if I was going to log in, and I put that in the chat. And if you can't sign in because you are not the person, you can go down to contact IAS. You have a phone number here. They told us that there is a small team that gets that contact IAS email and that they look at it 3 times a day and they disseminate it out. So that is what we suggest that you do if you are having an issue contacting IAS. If you use that contact IAS and you don't get any response in a few days, then let us know. We have some muscle and we can, go to some people and say, hey, here's what we're hearing. But we are really encouraging you to, advocate for yourself through the channels that they have provided for you and that they've shared and have asked you guys to use. So try there if you're not getting a response, instead of emailing one specific person where it might have gone to their junk or they might be on vacation. We are hearing that this is supposed to be better monitored.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am.
You're welcome.
And those of you that don't have access yet to the portal, this is issued to you after you get a quote. So you go into IAS and you request a quote for AC 478. And once you pay that invoice, then they issue you the portal. That's where you can upload your specific management documents, safety training, whatever. You upload that there. That's where all your information, your home for all your information with everything to do with AC 478 and IAS, that's where it will go. So, and then that's why it needs to continue to be managed there as well. And they are upgrading that, first of the year, Sasha? So it's supposed to be, they showed us the background of it, and it looks like it's going to be much more intuitive and user-friendly. I hope that works out for everybody. But again, if it's not, we need to know. We do have, like Sasha said, we do have a little muscle there. We can talk to them. We can resolve your concerns if it's crashing or not working. Yeah, first try to work it through IAS, either through their contact IAS or however you might have approach to it. But if you're not getting what is sufficient responses, let us know. We'll take it forward from there.
While I'm sharing my screen, can I quickly go over the resources and where you can find them?
Yes, that's fine. Yep. Go ahead.
So from the homepage on the website, you will want to log into your MBCEA account and then go to the members only area. And this is where we have the resources for you to help you prepare for applying for accreditation. So this blue button right here, click here to access member resources. AC 478 accreditation is the first accordion here, and it will be open. The resources is where you want to start. And in fact, you actually want to start right here. jmaluda@mbcea.org. Jackie, you want to put your email address in the chat? If you are just getting into this, before you get too deep into it and you get overwhelmed, email Jackie, set up a time frame with her to meet. She'll go over things with you, help you get organized in order to apply. We find that sometimes when people go it alone first, they get a little too deep in the weeds and things are just overwhelming. She can help simplify it. Everyone that has used Jackie's assistance has come back with great feedback, saying how much easier it was when she kind of ran through things with them first. So that is where you should start. But everything you need is right here: the criteria, the step-by-step, the rules of procedure, management system. So this is the page that you should visit to get started. And then also in our members area, we have those AC 478 Roundtable recordings, which I mentioned. We typically note what the specific topic was that was covered there, so you can rewatch that. And we have marketing pieces. So for you to learn more about it is the contractors and erectors. Once you are accredited and you want to share information with building officials and with architects, there are brochures there that you can use. There is also an AIA CEU presentation that the IAS has put together that they allow accredited companies, MBCEA members, to present. This is a link to the Dropbox that you can download it. It's got all the notes in it. It lets you revise it to the information that is pertinent to you, which slides are that you're allowed to do that to. And you can present that to architects. So we are asking for grassroots efforts, besides our national efforts with IAS, to be presenting to architects about the accreditations. And then we have a recorded webinar here in case you want to watch somebody else giving it. And then you can understand how to present it yourself. But also in their additional AIA presentations, again, for presenting to architects. And then the member resources, documents, and templates. A lot of the things that are required in the criteria have been provided here by other members. So there are a lot of templated documents. So we encourage you to review this documents page as you are working through the process as well, if you're in need of any type of templates. Let's see, what we do for accredited members. So we will draft a press release for you that you can modify and use. We will send it out for you. You can send it out. You will become a featured listing in the member directory, which means that you will always show up first in any search or filter in the member directory. You will have AC478 accredited listed after your company name, and you will have more things available to be viewed in your company profile, like gallery of pictures, videos, your social media threads. Some more additional things are open to you for more exposure on your company. Also on the homepage, we have scrolling logos of all AC478 accredited members. Oh, and we also have a special cocktail hour at the conference that is just for accredited members. So that's always a fun thing as well. So that's what I wanted to cover. Any questions on any of those things, any of those resources we have for you?
So we have a little bit of time left here, and this is kind of how we have been doing this is we probably won't get to everybody here, but we'll call out a few. And if you want to have introduce yourself and where you are in the process, and maybe any questions you have for us that we can help you with. So, and it could include what Sasha just asked, if there was any questions on resources. But yeah, so Dean Tyndale, are you on Belcon?
Yep, I'm here.
How about
We
you at the process?
we are right at the beginning. We're just looking for a way to start implementing this, and I'm gathering information to bring to both the owners and to the our steel crews. We do our own. We're design builder, but we do our own erection, and so yeah, so we're just getting started.
So in your particular spot in your journey, I'm going to reiterate one thing, and hopefully you already heard it, but to say it again, contact Jackie. She's going to be your best spot to start. The
Sounds
sooner you do that, the better off you are. She'll give you a little consulting here, compliments of MBCEA, and use it. It's going to be your best call you make on this thing.
That sounds great. We are located in Ontario, so we're just also at the grassroots right now of the new Ontario chapter. So I'm actually a member at large on the board. So yeah, we'll reach out to Jackie to get going on that.
I'm
Hey,
I'm excited
this is
about
Sarah.
Team Canada. Go ahead,
Yeah.
Sarah.
Yeah, I was just gonna say we actually have a conference call tomorrow because some of your standards of what we do in America are going to be different for Canada, and we want to make sure we're not implementing things like our OSHA that you guys don't have. So your standards are going to be a little bit different than what's on the website. So I might want to have you put a pin in that, and so we have that call tomorrow. Because then
Okay.
we're going to have some different things. Because we don't want to
Friday.
make you start
Friday.
jumping through hoops.
It's Friday, not tomorrow.
Friday.
Friday.
Oh, that's right. Sorry, today's only Wednesday. I just wanted to for those who know me, I'm Sarah Toth. I'm one of the I'm on the Mid Atlantic chapter, but I'm also part of the AC478 group here, and just wanted to let you know we are working on that. I talked to Dan, who's your chapter president, the other day, and we set
Okay.
that up for Friday. So we are working
Excellent.
on it.
How about Jan from Your Ultimate Structures? You want to tell us a little bit about where you're at?
Same situation. So Ontario chapter, we just started out. Uh, there's not really any progress so far as just figuring out where we have to be. Got to locate where, the IAS and all that stuff. That just basically listening along, seeing where this is going to fit into the company.
Yeah. We got any questions further than what you've already heard?
No,
How about Victor Garcia from GRG?
Sorry, I was trying to unmute. How you doing, sir? Well, Victor Garcia, our company is GRG 28 Contractors. We barely started last year to as an erector. Before we have been having about 14 years on the industry as working for different companies. And well, we are new to all this. Let's say we're like the small fish on the pond, but we definitely are looking to grow and get a accreditation. Actually, I was talking to Eric from Thomas Phoenix not too long ago about it because I said, "Well, what is this thing of to get accredited?" And he kind of explained me a little bit, and that's why I actually joined this meeting, try to find out how to do it, what are the best parts of it, like
Yeah.
how to use it.
Victor, I would recommend that you and I do a Zoom together, because even if you don't apply for accreditation this year, if you understand what's required as you're growing your company, you'll grow it the right way. You'll put in place the right procedures. You'll understand the training requirements. Having Eric as a mentor is a fabulous thing. Thomas Phoenix has been a leader on this program from the get-go. So you're in good hands, but let's make sure that you've got all the material that you need. And then you decide whether you're doing it sooner or a little bit later. But start your processes the right way.
Yeah, definitely. I'm totally into it and interested. I actually want to grow this
Mhm.
and try to make it on this industry. I love what I do.
Good, good.
Good.
Welcome.
Thanks, Victor. How about Gabe Goulet from Mike Moore? You still on, Gabe?
I
Doesn't
Yeah.
look like it, but I think Jason is also from Mike Moore.
Yes. Hi, Jason Shuttleworth, Mike Moore Construction. We're out of Sault Ste. Marie in Ontario. Very new to this. This is my first introduction to your whole group here myself. Mike, our president, and actually Gabe have been working on this, the two of them. So I'm new to it. So this is my first introduction to what you guys are bringing. I do have a quick question. What about up here in Ontario? We're accredited already with a program that's Core 2020. I'm just curious if that's going to have any basis into this in the Canadian side or not. It's a safety accreditation.
So Dan, feel free to add. Our program, it's not MBCEA's program, it's IAS's program, and they are an international organization.
Mhm.
But when we worked to design and craft the program, everyone on the committee was from the United States. So we used language like OSHA, which is not an international body. Now that Canada has expressed interest, IAS has to tweak and modify some of the requirements without watering them down or necessarily making things complicated for Canada or for the US, but equitable.
Mhm.
That process has just started. Um, I'm not familiar with Core 22. I know someone else has mentioned it before, and if it's a safety program, then it would certainly play into this whole thing. I mean, part of accreditation is you're required to have a documented safety program. So if you already have an accredited safety program, then you're
We're
one
ahead of
step
game.
ahead. So
Yeah, for sure. Okay, no, I was just curious on how that was going to work out, knowing that
yeah.
this seemed to be
So
mostly.
when we meet one-on-one, or if we do a Canadian Zoom to address the Canada issues together, we can talk about the fact that AC 478 requires a documented training program, a documented safety program, a quality manual, and then those elements at the job site that Dan was talking about, in particular, the job site specific plan. But that safety plan and training plan, they're the backbone of the program as well. So.
Okay. No, excellent. No, we should be in good shape. I would assume they're not going to align perfectly, but some of the parts and pieces are going to fit. So that's good to hear. Thank you very much.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, thanks, Jason. How about Stosh Boyle from Native American Contracting? Do you want to introduce yourself?
Thank you for getting my name right. Gold star for you, brother. Yeah, we're out of San Antonio. We're at the very beginning of the process. I want to thank NBCA for providing the resources available here and really getting this. This has kind of been a process that I'm trying to get myself motivated through osmosis, through these Zoom calls and getting acquainted with this because it's really not required down here. We're a little slow here in Texas, but a lot of the processes and procedures we already have in place. But again, I thank you for getting this organized and helping us channel our resources to make us a stronger company. And I really appreciate the efforts.
Good, thanks, Josh. You got the message. Get hold of Jack. We just started, right?
10-4.
Yeah.
And don't be Texas isn't that slow or far behind. The call that I just quickly took was from a contractor who has been considering AC 478 for a long while, and because of a project he was just awarded, he's got to get his act together very quickly. So he was calling to say, when can we meet? So there are more and more projects that are requiring it.
That's all the motivation I need. Thank you.
Yeah.
How about Joel Frizzell, Continental Divide?
Hey, another gold star, man. Good job.
I'm
Hey,
trying.
we're a Continental Divide in Lawrence, Kansas, and we're like everybody else here. We're step one, basically. So we'll be getting into it a little bit. We'll, I think pretty quickly here. So.
Okay. Well, any questions so far?
No, sir.
Okay. Well, thanks for joining.
So, David, Faye's team that's heading off to hunting, I expect you guys will be applying shortly. I know that this has been high on your radar for a while now.
Yes, we're in the process. All of our programs are done. We're working through the quality and craftsmanship series with our guys and getting our OSHA training done. Our main hangup is we had pretty extensive job list from last year, so we're working through satisfying that new requirement of the accreditation for going through like customer complaints, any OSHA things, which luckily didn't really have anything there, but just contact information and all of that. So I'd like to talk about that in one of our next committee meetings, because I think if we had some kind of template or something for that, it might help everybody out.
Okay.
I don't know. One of our hangups, there were several executives that kind of hesitated to give out specific contact information of all of our customers and everyone, you know, for a cold call or whatever, which I can completely understand. So if we could offer members a form letter that could be part of the contract documents or whatever, hey, as part of this quality initiative we're pursuing, you may be contacted by IAS, et cetera, et cetera. I think that might help a lot of people out.
I think that we can talk about that at the next committee. Dan, I'm speaking for you there on your agenda. I know that Seth at Dunn actually made it part of his marketing when he signs a contract, or when he's awarded a project, whatever, that they send a letter to that effect that says, you know, we're very proud of our accreditation, and at some point in the future, you may be contacted by the IAS to verify that we're as good as we say we are. And we can create a template that other companies can use as well, I'm sure.
Jackie, we actually got into a process where we sent out a feedback form with every invoice.
That's a good idea, Hart. And I guess if we're aligned with Seth, we're probably on the right track in our thinking there. So sounds good.
Thanks, David. Did we already ask Justin from Canadian Metal Buildings? I'm not going to attempt your last name.
Yeah, I thought you were going to give it a shot.
Bruzies.
Yeah, you got it.
Okay.
You're 3 for 3 today.
You're in the wrong profession, man.
Yeah. Okay. How are you doing? What do you got going on?
Yeah, I mean, not a whole lot to comment on. I mean, same kind of stuff going through. We're more of a manufacturer. We do have an installation arm, but our focus is to and I'm heavily involved and invested in getting the AC478 to align with Canadian standards, and a super big advocate for it, and looking at some ways on how we can push this over the finish line and help this industry in a whole move forward. So
yeah, all kinds
Justin,
of activity.
can I say something? Justin, you're a manufacturer also?
Yeah.
Do you have area reps or do you sell direct?
No, we go through an authorized builder network, so we have regional territory managers.
Let's get them on board and talk to them about pushing AC478.
Yeah, they're well aware of it as well.
Let's first get some companies accredited up there.
Yeah.
We are working as well. So that's our big goal too. We want this just as bad as you guys.
Yeah. I appreciate your effort, Justin. So we've really used up our time here. If anybody we didn't talk to has a comment or anything they want to add, feel free. Otherwise,
this
yeah,
is
go ahead.
Dean again from Belcon. I just wanted to mention that be interested to find out the results of that call that you guys have got on Friday to see how the Canadian development of this will go.
Yes.
Yeah, I think we can definitely put something together for all of our new Ontario chapter members. Several of your board members, those that are on the Ontario Accreditation Committee, will be in attendance. So either they'll disseminate it out to the rest of the members, or we can. And it's going to be the beginning of the discussion with IAS to see how we can marry up the things in the criteria. But yes, we will absolutely in some way keep everyone posted up there as to how these conversations are going. We are super excited that you guys are so interested and want to support this and see it as a quality program. And so we'll do everything we can with IAS to help bring it in line for Canadian companies.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. Yeah, I understand what Sarah was saying, but you don't want to water down or complicate or confuse what you've got now. But if there was a Canadian specific set of protocols or the same type of documents you showed on the MBCA website that were that had a Canadian flavor, just that are going to get people started down the right road and not confused right off the bat. That'd be great.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
do everything we can, Dean. So we'll follow up.
Appreciate that.
All right. Thank you, everyone, for joining us today. We will hold another roundtable in 2 months, most likely. That's kind of what our schedule has been. Again, all of the recorded roundtables are on the website. I showed you where in the members area. You can look and see if there's a specific one that you want to rewatch, if there's a topic that interests you or you had questions on, because we can't cover everything every single time. But if you haven't applied yet, email Jackie if you haven't spoken with her yet. So she can help get you in line and make it a little bit easier for you. And we'll be in touch.
Thank you, everybody.
everyone.
Thanks all.
Bye.